believe that we are live. So welcome to Tamarah's Closet today. I am very excited because I've got a really special woman with me today. She is quite the inspiration, and she started her journey very, very young. And her music speaks from the heart about many of her life experiences and about what's going on in the world today. And I'm so passionate about what's going on in the world today. So I really have enjoyed learning about her. There's so much depth to this young woman, and she's more than just a singer and songwriter. She's like a powerful woman on a mission to inspire and speak out through her music and writing. So she was born in New York, but raised in the South as a Buddhist in the Tennessee Bible Belt. And she grew up facing a lot of religious persecution, but these events soon became the inspiration and foundation for her music. So I think that's really inspirational in itself. And she's Imre Kovács. He's a Hungarian freedom fighter, revolutionary, esteemed author, and senior editor of Radio Free Europe, who had established a democracy in Hungary and was threatened with execution by the authorities who felt his books provoked human rights and escaped to America. So she has just an amazing history and background. So I want to go ahead and bring her out. So today I want to welcome Amanda Mandara Sky, who is the founder of the rock band Mandara. They're an indie rock group. So say hello, Amanda, so I know you're still with me.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited, Amanda. I always like to tell how I find somebody, and honestly, I was trying to remember how I came. Oh, I do remember. I came across you because I was going to go see you when you were in town here.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, at the Blind Tiger, and I totally thought you were coming that Saturday, and when I went to look at the time, I had missed it. You performed that Thursday, I think, or something like that. It was a weekday. So
it was on a Wednesday.
I was like, oh my God, how did I make that mistake? So I'll just have to catch you when you're here again. But
we definitely plan to come back. It was a great show, and the booking agent really liked us, so he's inviting us back for the fall. I'm gonna try to book a show definitely real soon there again.
Oh, good. That's going to be great. So I'll make sure I make that.
I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, but you have an incredible story, and it's been quite the inspiration behind your music. So I really like to start back a little bit. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your background, like how old were you when you realized that you had a passion for music?
Well, I was actually 10 years old. At the time, I was pursuing modeling, and my mother had taken me to a scouting for a bunch of modeling agencies. And when I was there, I found out there was a talent portion to the whole thing. And honestly, to this day, I still don't really know what was going on in my mind, but I had this gut feeling that I needed to go. I needed to do that part of the scouting. And so my mom finally was convinced. She was like, okay, I'll sign you up for that part. And I was completely unprepared. I had no clue what to expect. So we show up, and there's a room full of musicians. There's like a couple metal bands. There was like, I think, a country singer and a few other like singer-songwriters. And there were 2 A&R representatives, one from Sony and one from Virgin Records, in the audience. And so I get called, I get up on stage, I'm like a deer in the headlights, the bright lights coming down on me. I'm 10, I don't know what to expect. And so I had picked a song that I really loved called Reflections by Christina Aguilera. And so I decided to sing that a cappella because I had nothing with me prepared. And I sang it, and I received an amazing reaction from the audience, practically like a standing ovation, which was very surprising to me, very exciting for me. So after I come down from the stage, the Sony representative approaches my mother and me, and he tells her, he's like, you know, your daughter might not know who I'm talking about, but she has the voice of a young Janis Joplin. She's very soulful, and I want to stay in touch with you. So that there was basically the beginning of everything. You know, it gave me the encouragement and just confidence that, okay, maybe I have something here. Maybe I should run with this. And so I did.
Wow. Well, I've always been curious, when someone starts that young, because I know your voice is going to go through so much change, you know, when you start out that young. How do you make that transition?
Well, honestly, my voice, I have noticed, changed over the years, but it's still kept that original strength, I guess, that I had, that the representative heard. I never had a vocal trainer throughout the years. I messed around with a couple, and I just never really cared for their methods. It didn't seem to work for me. One, I think, was trying to pursue more of an operatic voice with me, and I eventually found this one technique that I use now, where it's mainly just going up and down scales slowly, and you go through the vowels, and that is what's developed my range, and I think the power behind my range as well. Right.
Well, your voice must have been powerful at 10 for someone to say you sound like Janis Joplin. I mean, I think that's great. I mean, that's just amazing to me. But what did your mother think about all this? Was she the big encourager behind you? Is that, or I mean, did she obviously realize that you had was it that moment that she realized what a gift you had, or?
Well, honestly, I think we both realized my talent in that moment. I had never really sang before, except maybe around the house messing around. But since I decided to pursue this as my career, she has been extremely supportive. She's been my #1 fan throughout the years. And honestly, I could not ask for another mother. She's just been amazing. She's helped me along the way to the best of her ability. And it's been a great support to have, because trust me, it can get difficult.
Yeah, I know. Does she have artistic abilities? Is she a singer? Is she a musician or an artist?
She was not a singer. She messed around on guitar when she was younger. She used to sing folk songs, like in protest during Vietnam and everything, when she was very young. But she is an artist at heart. That's what she did. That was her career in New York. She went to Rhode Island School of Design, and she got her master's at Yale. She did these amazing large-scale photo mosaics, which was kind of her own original invention. And she did very well with her art. She did collaborations with Andy Warhol, and she had commissions from Coca-Cola Company and a few other good places as well. So that was her main thing. In college, she dated David Byrne when he was first starting out with the Talking Heads. That's kind of like her only like music experience, I guess you could say. Like, she would hang out with him in CBGBs, and you know, she knew Blondie and everybody like that. But that was really her only introduction into music. So when I said I want to be a singer, this is what I want to do, she's just like, okay, well, let's see what we can do with that then. You know, we both didn't really know what to expect, honestly.
Yeah, but how old were you when you actually, because you were 10 when you went to the modeling thing, but you must have sang before, you know, before that. Like, do you remember how old you were when you just, I don't know, that you started singing at all, or maybe when you really started paying attention to music, maybe?
I've always loved music, and I remember when I was young always listening to my mom's Cher CDs. I love Cher.
I do too.
I'm still a big fan of hers, and so honestly, the only times that I can really remember singing before that one experience that I shared was maybe just at home singing along with her CDs. And I still didn't really know for sure my talent, because, you know, unless you get outside validation, because your mom's going to be like, oh my God, you're so talented. But I never really knew for sure if it was something, and I didn't really know if I wanted to pursue it until I received that push, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have a look like Cher, actually.
Oh, thank you.
That's,
I've actually gotten a lot of that since I cut my bangs 2 years ago. Everybody compares me now, which I love, actually. You know,
yeah. Oh God.
it's a good compliment.
Yeah, but you stay in good shape like her too, so that's cool. I mean,
Thank you.
I love Cher, I always have, so I think that's really cool. So now, you were born in New York but grew up in the South in Tennessee, and your bio says that you were a Buddhist growing up in the Bible Belt of Tennessee, facing a lot of religious persecution. How old were you when you had to really start learning how to deal with this, and then you used it in your music? Do you remember?
For me, I remember the persecution started around 3rd or 4th grade. It was when my classmates became old enough to start to understand the slander that their parents were already projecting onto my mom, which for her started almost immediately. Moving from New York to Tennessee was a very drastic cultural difference, I guess you could say. In New York, nobody really cares what you believe in, what you do, you know, everybody, it's a big melting pot there. So my mom just came down with the same mentality. That's where she was born and raised. So when, you know, we were new, she would be like, oh yeah, I'm a Nichiren Buddhist, this is what I do. And she soon found out that that's very different here. And people in the area that we lived in, to them, if you don't believe in God, you believe in the drastic difference, which is the devil. So they instantly started projecting negativity onto us in the community. But I didn't really start to realize it until around, I'd say, 3rd or 4th grade, which was like a couple years before I actually started singing. And honestly, coming across this music path helped me in coping with it, because it became an outlet for me. I started writing my own music probably soon after, like around the age of 12, I believe I wrote my first song called Life. And it just was able for me to, you know, express how I believe everybody has a right to their own personal beliefs and to be who they are as an individual. And it was a big growth for me that lasted a long time on into my senior year of high school. That's when I finally decided that enough is enough. I'm tired of hiding what I really believe in. If I lose friends over it, then they obviously weren't my real friends. So senior year was a huge blossoming experience. Wow. And I wrote a song called You Got a Problem with It, which basically was just an outpouring of all the frustration that I had over the years. And after that, I just never looked back. I was like, this is who I am. Accept me or don't, you know? Yeah.
Well, it's a shame people can't just be more accepting, I guess, of other religious or, you know, beliefs in whatever faith you have. I think it's just good that someone has something they believe in, you know, and that's the most important thing. But, you know, I live in the Bible Belt too, so it's very, you know, I don't know that much about Tennessee, but I know I'm in the Bible Belt too. So it is tough if you believe different and then you're in a very conservative area that's not open to new things. But I'm glad that you used it to inspire you to write the music you've written. I think that's important.
I am definitely happy that I went through it, honestly. Looking back, I wouldn't change a thing, because it has made me the person that I am today, and it has made me the artist that I am today. And since I started singing, I had the goal that I wanted to use music as an inspirational tool, that because I was able to overcome my own personal obstacles, which primarily focused around the religious persecution, I wanted to then encourage people that despite whatever they're going through in their lives, there's a way to overcome it. There's always a way to overcome it. Sometimes it's really hard to try, but you can do it. I did it. You can do it. Everybody can. They can gather that inner strength in them. And that's what I try to encourage in my lyrics. My lyrics are the most important thing to me. And I've been very fortunate to have fans over the years that I've been able to help. Like, I remember there was this one girl who lived in Nevada. We met on an online forum back, I think, when I was 19. And she was struggling with being handicapped in her legs. She went through a lot of pain every day. And she told me one day, she was like, when she came across my music, she said, there's this one song, it was called Dragons Fly. It was one of the original recordings that I had done with an older band back when I was in high school. And she's like, I can't get through my day without listening to that song. Wow. And that to me was the most amazing feeling, because that's what I want to do. I want to have that impact on somebody, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And do you sing that song ever today when you perform? Is that song ever?
That song is still going to be worked up. This band that I have now, we've done a few older songs that I've written in the past, and we're doing some newer material. I'm of course going to bring that back into our set, and hopefully it'll be on the new album that I'm planning to record in the next year. But no, we don't have it in the set list right now. We have a few others though that are equal, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I wanted, because you blossomed as a singer, you know, so young, and impressed upon people when you were, you know, even just 10. Like it mentions this in your bio, that at 10 years old, it's a quote, it says, a room full of rockers were pounding the air with their fists for you. What was, and I don't know if you would remember back that far, but what was going on in your mind at this time when to have that command such respect at such a young age for your singing?
Well, that was actually the same experience that I shared when I was 10, when I sang for the first time.
That was that experience?
That was that experience. And honestly, looking back on it, I was just surprised. I wasn't expecting that reaction, and it was very humbling at the same time to receive such a reaction from adults that had been doing this probably their whole life as well. And this was like their one shot to make it or break it, you know? And the fact that they showed me that encouragement, it was just amazing.
Yeah. Do you ever use that when you write today, just reflecting on back on that moment? I mean, I know when I write, sometimes I'll think about something in the past that happened to me that, and all of a sudden I'll see it in a different perspective, I guess. No.
When it comes to inspiration to write, I'll always remember that moment. It's basically the beginning of everything, and I love sharing it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I look back on it when it comes to writing my songs. That's what I normally, I'm trying to think about how to say this. Normally when I write, I think about, you know, things going on in the world today, you know, something that I might have gone through.
But even not just writing, even not just writing, like, I don't know, maybe you don't have these moments, but if you ever have a moment where you feel like, I don't know, I think most people on a journey to their dreams, we'll go through periods where we have a moment where we feel like we're stuck, we're not moving forward, and I was wondering if you ever use things like that and reflect on to go, well, yeah, I have come. I mean, look how much I did then at 10 years old. You know.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yes, in that case, that's very true. There have been moments throughout this career that I've questioned, of course there have been amazing benefits that I've received, but I've come across obstacles as well, frustrations, letdowns, and I always reflect back to that original moment and on into the future, the validation that I've received over these years. And that moment in the beginning when the Sony representative, whose name was Stacy Quarterman, I'll always remember him to this day, I'll always be grateful to him. I always look back and remember that and be like, I know that I just need to continue. This is my calling. This is my path. I can't imagine my life without it. Honestly, I don't know what I would be doing right now. I don't want to imagine what else I would be doing, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's great to have that that solid confirmation and validation in your heart that you're on the right path. And and I know that when you told your mom you wanted to make a career out of this, how old were you then? It
was soon after, probably around 11 or 12, that I decided that I kind of wanted this to be my career. After singing for the representatives that one day, I started doing political events. I would sing for the veterans. I was involved in a few parades, festivals, and that kind of caused me to develop a reputation in the region. And so I would be invited to come to other political events, whether it was for 4th of July, when my mother and I were on vacation in Washington, D.C. I just happened to be walking by the Jefferson Memorial, and it was during the National Cherry Blossom Festival. So we started talking with the stage manager. We didn't realize he was the stage manager at the time, but he was like, "Oh, you sing? Well, sing something for me right now." So I did again, a cappella. And he was like, "You know what? Come back tomorrow. I'm going to get you on stage." Wow. Totally out of the blue. And honestly, that those validations is what prodded me along to continue this. And that's when I realized, I was like, you know what, I need to pursue this further. And so I did, and started writing more original music. And honestly, the National Cherry Blossom Festival, I think I was maybe 13, and
wow,
that's when I first started singing my original music. That was the day that I shared my originals with the public. And since then, because of the reaction I got from that crowd, I was like, okay, this is what I need to do.
So I just can't imagine knowing what you want to do at 11 years old. But I mean, I know I wanted to be a vet when I was little, because I was reading these little things my mother had saved when I was a kid in grade school, and these little things you write in class, and I wrote that I wanted to be a veterinarian, but that's not what I ended up doing, And so I just think it's amazing that you knew so young. But you were invited to, in 2013, you were invited to sing for the Hungarian Parliament, and I played that video, I think, on Facebook a couple times. Now, that was a cappella, if I remember right, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah, and you also were invited 2 years in a row by Pepsi to sing at the Freedom Hall. Can you talk about those two experiences? I know you mentioned it, but because you sang for Pepsi for over 100,000 people.
Yes, those were a couple of the 4th of July celebrations that I sang for in the beginning. I was still a teenager at the time, and it was a big 4th of July event. It wasn't inside Freedom Hall, it was outside of Freedom Hall, which is one of the larger concert halls in Johnson City, Tennessee. And it's always a big outdoor event. Everybody from that area goes to it. And they had a lot of radio coverage as well. So it amassed about 100,000 people that were there and listening in. And so I was the one singing before the firework display. And so I did that 2 years in a row. I was invited back for, and that was an amazing performance experience. that's when I kind of realized how comfortable I was on stage. And
Yeah.
it's funny, back then I used to wear glasses. And so I would get a little nervous. I normally don't get stage fright. If I was to sing for like maybe 2 or 3 people, I'd be like, you know, a little nervous about it. But when it comes to larger crowds, I love it. I love singing for that size of an audience. But when I was younger, I used to get a little nervous. So what I would do is I would take my glasses off because I'm nearsighted. And so the crowd kind of got a little blurry. So I didn't really see the individual faces looking at me. And so that it made me feel more comfortable singing. But now, of course, I don't do that. But yeah, that was a great honor to be invited to. And then Hungarian Parliament, that was all because of my grandfather, Imre Kovács, who you mentioned in my introduction earlier. Like you said, he was a Hungarian politician, he was a freedom fighter, and he basically had to escape to America when communism did take over. The Communist Party wanted to use him originally because they knew the people trusted him so much. He was like one of the only honest politicians that ever existed. And, you know, he of course refused because he believed strongly in what he stood for. So he had to soon escape because his life was threatened. And he eventually made his way to America, where he met my grandmother, and he lived the rest of his life out trying to make Hungary free. Unfortunately, he died before he could see Hungary become a democracy. And so for his, I believe it was his 100th anniversary of birth, the Hungarian government decided to honor him. And so since my mother was his only child and I'm his only grandchild, they invited us over. They knew of my singing career, so they wanted me to participate in all the events that was planned out. And the video that you shared was the one in actual Parliament. And that was a tremendous honor just to be there. You could see the Vice President of Parliament was sitting behind me. And it was just so moving. And it was just amazing because my grandfather, he was also a big influence to me over the years. Just his story and his dedication and his morals, they were kind of like a compass for the morals that I have today.
Wow, that's incredible. I just think that's incredible. And I really enjoyed that video. And I was going to have that picture, but the picture I found of it, it was so small I couldn't blow it up. I was like, darn it, because when I blew it up, it got blurred, you know, it was pixelated.
Yeah, I've tried it before. It was on the website of Parliament, I believe, for the events.
Yeah.
And so my cousin Andras, he sent it to me, but it was a small file, so that's all I really have of it.
Yeah, I know you got to see if you can get a large file of that, because that's a really cool picture.
Thank you.
But anyway, but you were solo for a while. I want to go back to that, kind of get back up. And then when you went to Miami and you met Joe, your drummer, and then you moved to Asheville and formed a band. Has this transition from solo to band been better for you, or where? I guess I just want to hear a little bit about that in the band, because this would be a good opportunity for you to talk about the band, because I don't really have that many questions about the band. And so
the transition is very natural for me. I've always felt more comfortable being in a band, performing live. It's just that support network when you're on stage. Like I said before, I had a band in high school, and that was kind of my beginning introduction to working with other musicians, because before that I was just doing my own thing again. So when I moved to Miami, it was because that original band didn't work out, and I felt like I needed a change. I felt like I wanted to move to a city where I could have more opportunity. So I chose Miami because I had gone there when I was 15 originally. I fell in love with it. And
did you like it?
Honestly, Miami, it's a beautiful city. I love the beach anyway, so it was a great place for the lifestyle. I lived there for 3 years. The first 2 years, I was pursuing the solo career, and I did pretty well, honestly. Like almost immediately, I was receiving positive reactions. I was performing a lot. I worked in a piano bar for a while, performed at the Van Dyke Cafe, which is a really well-known cafe on South Beach. And I performed at the Hard Rock Cafe and a few other places around. And I honestly, though, am happier in my band.
Okay.
The third year that I lived in Miami is when I met my drummer, and we started, you know, forming a band together there. Miami, though, I had to soon admit that it wasn't the right place for my kind of music. People there, not to slander them or anything, they just, when they go out, they don't really want to listen to something inspirational. You know, they want to go out, they want to have a good time. And, you know, I had to admit that with myself, even though I loved living in the city, it just wasn't the right place for me. So Joe and I discussed moving elsewhere and pursuing music somewhere else. So Asheville came to mind. It was close to where I grew up. I always heard about how it was a very vibrant music scene. So we decided to come up and see what it was all about. We met Spencer, our guitar player, very soon after, and then our original bass player, Chris, and we just went with it, you know. We found them very fast, started writing music right away, and had our first show in August last year. And since then, I've been performing monthly and doing very well. And it's been a great transition, honestly. And I'm really happy to be working with other individuals that share my same goal and mindset. You know, we all want to take this band as far as it can go. And we recently came back from a mini tour, which one of the stops was Greensboro. And it was very successful, and it's just encouraged us to continue this path even further. So I'm just really happy to have these guys in my life, honestly.
And so you all kind of share the same vision, and that's working out good. So is that?
Yes.
That's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad you said that, because I did wonder what took you to Asheville. I know Asheville is very artsy, and it's been so long since I've been there. And when I went there, I was going there for horse shows, so I really didn't see Asheville so much. You know, I was just there for horse shows. So, you know, but I was curious as to how you just picked Asheville, and so I think it sounds like it's been a move for you. And but I gotta ask this, because I read also that your bio says that your music's a plethora of hard rock, progressive rock, jazz, and blues. How did you kind of create this combination?
This combination's formed with the current members that I have now. We all bring an individual influence to the table. For example, Spencer, my guitar player, he's jazz trained. He also had been in a couple metal bands in the past, though, so he brings kind of these jazzy, unique chords to the table when writing, but it's also heavy. And Joe, he's played a lot of different styles. He's done everything from reggae to funk to heavy metal as well. So, and Chris, he's, you know, country rock. And me, I've always naturally written in rock style. That's just what I love. It's what I listen to. It's just what naturally comes to me. So all of these things just kind of molded what we write now. And we just kind of developed our own style. And it's so hard to pinpoint our style to a specific genre. That's why I always call it progressive indie rock, because it's the closest that it sounds, but it really is its own style. And that's why I came up with the name Mandara Rock, just because that's what we are. This is our rock style. You know?
Yeah. Well, I love it. I've really enjoyed listening to your music. So
Thank you.
I really have. And I'm going to ask you about your album coming up, but I've really enjoyed listening to that. I was listening to it again yesterday morning. So, you know, but your poetic writing has been referred to as a female Jim Morrison. I can't remember where I read that, but your music is inspired by your personal experiences. So was Jim Morrison an influence to you as well, or was that just a comparison that other people picked up on? Or
Jim Morrison is what I would consider my spirit guide, honestly. And that compliment that you mentioned, to me, it's the greatest compliment I have received thus far. And the person that said it to me did not know anything about my influence with Jim Morrison or my love for the Doors. It just was a random thing that he said when he heard my music. And I kind of like stepped back from it. I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, you have no idea how amazing that is that you just said to me. And so, yes, Jim Morrison, when I first came across the Doors, it was my mom who introduced me to them. She was just giving me a lot of her old rock albums when I was younger and I was first starting out with music. And so I listened to the Doors around the same time that I started writing and just fell in love. I fell in love with the music. I fell in love with his voice. I fell in love with his genius that he had. And his writing just is amazing. Not that many people can really get into the depth of it all because there's so much symbolism behind it and metaphor. It speaks to me so much. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to visit his grave in Paris at least 3 or 4 times.
wow.
And it's a very spiritual journey for me when I do go, just because I have this strong bond to him, and I can't really explain why. All I can say is he's a hero to me, he's an influence to me, and I do believe him as my spirit guide musically.
Yeah, oh, I think that's awesome. I really do. Now, were there other influences? Like, I know this is completely different, but you mentioned Cher. Does she influence you? It doesn't even necessarily have to be her music, but it could be her style, or because you have a great style.
Thank you. Her fashion influence definitely played a role when I was growing up, as well as her voice. She has a very deep, powerful voice, and even though I was originally compared to Janis Joplin when I was younger, Janis, she has a very strong voice, but it was also raspy.
Yeah.
You know, it was coarse. And over time, when I started to develop my own voice, I got compared to Cher a lot more because of her more smooth sound. And her, along with Stevie Nicks, when it comes to vocals, those are the two that I think that I would compare more with. But Cher definitely was a big influence to me vocally growing up, for sure. And I, of course, still sing her songs from time to time, you know.
Yeah, I loved her growing up, and of course, I loved her style, and I still do. I follow her on Facebook, and I just think she's the coolest thing. So
she is. She's still rocking it. Come on.
She is. So, but what motivates you? I guess on a given day to write music, like what, I don't know, what do you just have like this moment where you gotta think, I'll go write a song, or is it usually what actually is that motivates you, really? Not so much inspiration, but
oh, that's a good question. Honestly, when it comes to my writing process, I can't just sit down and force myself to write a song. It has to come naturally. It has to be a natural flow. I've tried to sit down and write a song before, and I throw it away because I'm not happy with it. So if I happen to start humming a melody during the day, I have like a little recorder on my phone that I'll record it, and I'll build off of that. Or if I come up with a phrase in my head and just kind of develop off of that. It comes at random, honestly, but a lot of the times it's influenced through what's happening in the world now, especially, and just the lack of appreciation of the beauty of this world that we have. We take it for granted, and we focus in on our own little world of problems, you know, or, you know, the politics that are happening and this corruption and hate and all this negativity, we forget to step back, look around, and realize that this world that we live in is beautiful and it's finite. And we need to appreciate it more and get back into the bigger picture. And so I think that's what kind of motivates my writing, especially nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I felt like that was probably because I write inspirational posts. I don't write music, and you know, I feel some of the same thoughts that you just shared. You know, I'm not a big political person. I try to avoid it because I do hate the negativity of it, but it's frustrated me as well. I feel like that there's so much good in this world, and we're not. And since I started doing photography, you know, it's interesting. I'm seeing the world, just like you said, I'm seeing it from a whole new set of eyes, you know, because it's becoming an art, and I'm going, wow, you know, when you start getting into an art, whether it's as a singer, a musician, and especially someone who's very passionate and writes about life experiences, I think it just gives you a whole new perspective on the world in general. You're looking at it from an artistic view, which, you know, I don't know. I think people have gotten away from what's right about this world and focusing on what's wrong. There's a lot of anger, so, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad you're letting your music come from an inspirational place in your heart. So that's good.
Thank you.
So, but how do you keep inspired and motivated on a daily basis? Do you have a mentor, or because, you know, to me, I have to have things to push me through, but how do you do it?
Inspired, you mean musically or just in general?
Well, in musically, but also in mindset, because whenever we're, I think, creative people, I know I hate to say this, I Googled it because I'm a researcher. We're a bit of ruminators, and we chew on things, so to speak, which is, I read why there's so many creative people in the creative industry suffer from things like depression and stuff. So I constantly have to read personal development books or listen to CDs or look at other people, anything that keeps me positive and moving forward. And you know, how do you stay motivated? Like, do you use other people's work to get, if you feel like you're in a funk, or I don't know. I know it's a tough question, I know, but
on a daily basis, I would say that my Buddhist faith is one of the bigger motivations for me, because part of the practice involves chanting morning and night. And that to me is my form of meditation, to where I'm able to focus inward, evaluate whatever personal issues I might be going through. If I'm going through hardship or just a struggle with myself, like an aspect about myself that I'm unhappy with. And that to me is what helps motivate me and get through another day, and just strive to continue doing better. I guess that would be my mentor, so to speak.
Well, that's good, because I actually, you know, I don't know much about the Buddhist, but the chanting sounds like somewhat like what I do affirmations. And I have them written around my hat, like in little things, notes to myself. And so if I feel like I'm sliding, I'll go read an affirmation. So it's sort of like you're probably similar to when you're chanting, you know. But,
it's a reminder, and it's a reflection inwardly too, to remind yourself that, you know, you've gotten through things before. you can do it again. You know?
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like the song that I had written, which is on my my band's new EP called Into the Ashes, that song is actually the symbolism behind it. The ashes, in my Buddhist practice, we have an altar, and on the altar we have different things like candles, which symbolize, you know, light and sight. We have fruit, which, you know, represents nourishment, and then there's also incense that we burn.
Right.
And, you know, ashes start to build up the more incense that you burn. And I wrote that song when I was going through a really difficult time in my life. I was still living in Miami, and I was struggling with a relationship, and I was chanting vigorously at my altar to try to figure out what the answer was that I needed, what I needed to do to get through this. And I started to cry, and my tears fell into my incense ashes. And that vision, I mean, that event caused that song to occur right then and there. I started coming up with that song, and there's this one verse that I always like to quote because it's helped me. Sometimes I have to take my own advice, you know. And the verse goes, "We all know we have to get through whatever hardships we face. And I know I've always made it through. It's just so hard to try." And honestly, when it comes to my hardships that I've gone through, I always reflect back to, I have made it through. I just need to try again. And chanting is what helps me get that motivation to make it through another day.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I do. I like hearing about all the different beliefs and religions, and you know, I think
There's so many.
I know, it's really interesting. And I don't know, it's funny, I was having this discussion with a friend, we're like, we don't know what we are.
That's sometimes the best thing, though.
I know. So anyway, but over the years, who has been, well, you sort of answered this already. So we sort of answered this about the greatest inspirations. Is there anybody else you wanted to mention that was a big inspiration in music that?
Oh, well, aside from Jim Morrison and the Doors, I would say one of the newer inspirations or influences would be Coheed and Cambria. They're a progressive rock band, and their music, I love epic music, and I love an epic sound for my band and my style. And Coheed and Cambria, when it comes to the intricacy of the musicianship and the lyrics, they're all concept albums that the lead singer Claudio writes. And that, to me, I just find amazing. To, like, every single album they come up with is based on a storyline of a novel that the lead singer Claudio writes. And when I found that out, I just became obsessed with their music because it was just so epic, so powerful. The lyrics, which I always listen for when it comes to music, I always love a good song with good lyrics, and the way he writes is very influential as well. Just the symbolism. I love metaphor, and I write in metaphor all the time. And so when I find another artist that has a similar technique, I love it.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I mean, I think that's great. I think it's good to have people that, it's good when we find people that have a similar way of doing what we do, because it does, I don't know, to me that is motivating in itself, you know, or inspirational. But through your writing music and performing, you speak out for the protection of our civil liberties and overcoming the intolerance of times. I think I got this out of your bio, but because of what's going on in our country right now, can you elaborate on this, as well as the direction you see your music headed now? Is it?
What's happening right now in the world, it can get very disheartening because of how much hate still exists. We think that we're moving forward and we're progressing to be more tolerant, yet when you have this upheaval bring itself to the foreground, you then realize, well, maybe we're just taking steps backwards. And it definitely has been a trigger to my music. I feel that now more than ever, I think my music could have a positive influence. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna keep at it and see what I can do. Honestly, like I'm really big into activism and, you know, trying to promote positivity.
Yeah.
When it comes to like my Buddhist faith, even we believe in the potential for world peace. That's what we strive for.
Right.
And that's what I'm wanting to hopefully see in my lifetime. I don't know if it is possible now. I just know that I want to try to leave something behind that can kind of be an influence or a path into that potential.
Right. Well, that was one thing that attracted me to you because, you know, when I started this show, I wanted to interview people all over the world because a lot of my posts have become more and more giving the thing, world peace and people coming together. And even through my photography, you know, so, you know, I was very inspired by you as well because I was like, well, you know, she wants world peace and that's what I want. So, you know, I said, well, I think you would be a good guest on my show. So I'm glad that your music is going to continue to move toward that direction because, you know, we need new leaders. You know, we need different types of leaders in this world, I think. And so it's, and I'm like you, I like the positive approach. You know, there is too much anger,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I'm glad I found you.
I'm glad you found me.
But I want to quote you here because I thought this was a beautiful quote. You said, "Hope is universal. My goal was to encourage the people of the world, no matter what race or religion they are, that from this moment on there can be a new beginning." And I don't know when you made that statement, like how current that is, but how do you feel about it when you hear it today? And
I actually made that statement towards the beginning of my career.
Oh, okay. So.
And honestly, I think it's more relevant than ever. And I still stand by it. I believe that change occurs in the individual, and it just takes one person to start a new beginning and to then branch out and build that momentum, build that influence. I believe that we really do need to have a new beginning. I don't want to go as far as to say the word revolution because that can have a lot of craziness back behind it when it comes to politics, but I do believe that the people in this world do see that there needs to be something that changes. And we can say there needs to be change all we want, but unless we make that change, we take the step, take that responsibility on ourselves, nothing's going to happen. So yes, I do believe that statement is very relevant today. And it's crazy how, you know, I've wanted to think that things have changed, but in fact, I think that it's kind of slowly gone backwards.
Yeah.
To where we do now more than ever need to have change occur in the world.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. A while back, I had made several posts because I had a lot of people, I guess because I'd written so many inspirational posts about change, and they would get in my message box and tell me about what's going on in their country or whatever. And I said, you know, if you're so passionate about it, I said, because as I wrote in my writings, I wrote, you know, in order for things to change, we have to change. And so many people think that they can't do anything, that we're powerless, and that's not true, because just going after your dream is making a change, because we have a choice. We can stay negative and believe that the American dream is gone, or we can stay focused on the American dream and be an inspiration by going after our dream, which is going to, in one sense, inspire others to do the same. But I told several people, I was like, I'm not in your country, but if you're feel that strongly about it, then why don't you rally up a group and you know, I don't want to name the country, but rally up a group of people and see what you can do. But so I agree with you when you say that we have to each take some kind of part, and too many people are out there just not doing anything.
Well, I think it's because they do feel powerless or hopeless, like you said, but the power of the masses can be even more powerful than, you know, whether it's the political leaders or the corporations that we feel that are destroying our environment or something. We don't feel like we have enough power when, in fact, we have more power than we know what to do with. We just have to tap into it. And many in body, one in mind is a very strong thing that can produce the change that we want to see. We just have to take that step, like you said.
Exactly. I mean, you're right. So just keep doing what you're doing. You know.
I plan
to. But your music has been described in various newspapers. I was reading you've had associate press coverage and magazine feature articles, television feature, online reviews. What do you think it is that your band is getting all this attention now, crediting your band all this attention? I mean, do you think it's your lyrics and
that media coverage I definitely had accumulated over the years, and I believe it did occur because of what I write about, especially from a young age, hearing about a young woman singing about overcoming obstacles and rising above intolerance isn't something that you really hear about every day. And so therefore I think that did give me something different, a story, you know. And with the band that I have now, I think that we have a very unique sound and goal when it comes to music. Right now I'm not really focusing on the whole like get a record deal, do this. I just want to just share our music with as many people as possible, and if it reaches the heart of one person, I've accomplished my goal, honestly. And I think because of that content, it has caused a lot of media attention, which is amazing, I'm just so honored and thrilled to be able to have that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I mean, I'm glad, and I you know, and I know you've already gotten it, because I don't know, anytime I do these interviews, I've been fortunate enough that my guests get new followers and new fans, and I know you guys will too, and so, you know, I'm excited about that. And so I'm very excited with the direction that you guys are going. So you know, gonna keep cheering you on. So
thank you so much.
But what can you I wanted to give you a minute here, because I know I didn't have this in your questions. If there's anything you wanted to talk about your new album, The Event Horizon, even if it's just the name you gave it.
Well, The Event Horizon, the reason I named it that is because astrophysics is a very strong passion of mine outside of music. And black holes in particular have always fascinated me. And it's the unknown, the potential of what could be. So when my band and we were recording, we did a 3-song EP, which is out on iTunes, CD Baby, Rhapsody, Amazon, all kinds of digital download platforms. And it has Empty Hearted, Holding Me Back, and Into the Ashes. 3 of the songs that we thought were versatile enough to kind of show everything that we can kind of do. And it's mainly our introduction to the world as this band. Pretty much. Like, I have older recordings still online from when I was in Miami and with some older bands, but this, this new sound, this EP was to basically show what we could do to the world. And I came up with the name Event Horizon because it's a title that I've always been fascinated by, the point of no return, so to speak.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like, there's no going back now. We're going to hit the ground running with this band. And so we've done well. We've received a great reception. We had a review written up in the Mountain Express here in Asheville, which is a really great local newspaper. It was an amazing review. And we have a few radio stations that are interested in playing it now, which is really exciting as well. So I'm really happy to see how far it'll go. And we're going to we've already started writing new material because I'm wanting by next year, hopefully by the end of the year, that's the goal, to record a full 10-song album.
All right. Good. That's great. I think that'll be great. Now, will it be digital as well, or both, or?
Well, I'm honestly planning to have this EP be hard copy as well. It's just currently it's digital only.
Yeah.
But so yes, the album that I'm planning to do will also be available hard copy and digital once everything is finished and out there.
Yeah. Well, what advice would you give to another musician that wants to do, or singer or songwriters, or anybody who wants to do, what you're doing and hasn't taken that first step? Is there any advice you would give them? Or?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, the advice I would give is to stay strong. Be confident in your art. Be open to constructive criticism, and never give up. It's a very hard career to choose. It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak-minded. You will face a lot of obstacle and disappointment. And you'll battle with yourself. You're your worst critic. I am, at least.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle. It's a daily struggle, but if you are a strong person, you just have to keep pushing and believe in yourself.
That's good advice. That's real good advice. And you do. I mean, I think we are our own worst critics. And, so in fact, I saw something, somebody had posted something, and I forgot who it was. It was, oh God, I can't remember who it was. But anyway, he was he was in his 90s. I think he was an artist, painter, and they were asking him why he was still practicing something, a technique, and he said, because I think I'm going to get good at it, And he was already great, but he was just like, he's, I guess the message was, we're always learning. You don't just quit, and you just keep pushing forward. But,
yes.
Yeah. But how has social media helped you, or how do you feel it's the best way to utilize it? Because everybody's kind of got a different feeling about it.
Social media, it can be a great platform to use, especially Facebook. I've noticed that I've been able to gain followers from all over the world, especially in the Middle East, which I've gotten thousands, honestly, on Facebook of followers from the Middle East, Egypt, Pakistan, Iran, like these countries that are going through a lot of political turmoil right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me has been fascinating. And I also see that there are people from conflicting countries that have liked our band page, which to me just validates my purpose. That,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it doesn't matter what religion or race you are, you know, music can be a therapeutic and inspirational means. And so I'm still trying to figure out my way around the whole networking thing on social media. You know, like what time is the best time to post something that people will see, or, you know, all that stuff. But it's definitely been helpful in getting our music out there worldwide. You know, something that I probably wouldn't have been able to do without. You know, I might have gotten a few followers like in the general region or something,
Yeah.
but, you know, being able to put music out online too makes it available to millions, you know. So it's been helpful. I'm still figuring it out. Like I mainly use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which our guitar player Spencer is in charge of the Twitter account, because I was like, I can't do this. I don't understand you.
I know. Twitter's my struggle. I'm like, I just don't get it. I'm like,
I don't either.
I just don't. I'm like, what is it you people want? I mean, you know, it's like, I don't know, because you can't say hardly anything. You know, you've only got.
They have like a limited amount of space to say something, and what I say, I'm like, I can't condense my thoughts into 32 characters.
I know. And then by the time I add a picture of my guest, it's taken up all. I mean, I'm like, God, it's just so. I put it on there and I hope for the best. You know?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, but I know, but it's great. But before we go, I just want to ask you. So I know you're thinking about this new album, working that up, and more touring, I guess, and
more touring is definitely in the future. This little mini tour we did was like like a little sampling of what we could do, and the band just loved it. We had an amazing time, and we're definitely planning to do more, spread out further into the region. My goal is by next year I want to do an Eastern coastal tour. I probably make our way up north, possibly towards New York, back down, and then hopefully in the next couple years, maybe 3 years in the future, doing a national tour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so touring is definitely what we want to do now. That's what we're going to focus on, because that's how we're going to spread our gift even further, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you guys have like a destination you want to be at, say 5 years down the road, like a goal, or I know.
Oh, 5 years from now, I would like to see this band touring regularly, nationally, internationally. I want to have developed a loyal fan base, being able to just do what I love on a daily basis, and being able to afford life because of it would also be nice.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and so I know that the musicians I'm working with now, they also feel the same way, and we all just want to be able to make a living off of what we love, and to share our music with the world.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now, I'm hoping that's where we're gonna be. That's the goal.
Good. I like that. I think that sounds great. Well, this has really been a lot of fun, Amanda.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I just want to thank you again for being here, because it's been fun. It's been a great pleasure learning about you and meeting you, and getting to spend some time with you. you know, and learning more about your band and their mission. Is there anything that you wanted to mention that we didn't talk about?
Honestly, I think your questions have been amazing. They've been so thorough. Thank you so much for inviting me on this show. I guess I'll share that if anybody watching is interested in learning more about our band or the music, you can go on our website, mandararock.com. It has links to where you can purchase our new EP that's out. And all social media links are on that website as well. So check us out. Hopefully you like it.
Yeah, well, I'll have your website under the YouTube replay. And I think they're still letting me do that. And then I'll also have all your links, and when I put it in my blog, I'll put all your links in there as well. So
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so they can find you. I have to be real careful on YouTube because they're always changing their rules. But yeah, I can put anything in my blog for sure. So
awesome.
Yeah. So definitely make sure. And I said it wrong. It's Mandara, not Mandara. That was.
It's okay. It's a common mistake. But yeah, Mandara. It's more of a rounded A.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. But there'll also be a copy of this. For the viewers, there'll be a replay of this on my YouTube channel, the Cinderella Story YouTube channel, and in my blog, tamarahscloset.com. And of course, I'll be posting it on later today, this evening, on my Facebook page, and so it'll remain on there as well. So it'll be everywhere, all over social media. So I want to thank the viewers too for their continued support, and make sure that you share this replay, because this helps me continue to get the word out for Mandara and Amanda, and it get the word out about their music, about who they are, and it just helps me celebrate them. So, and also join me. I'm really excited in a couple of weeks as I interview he's a world famous photographer and photojournalist, Reza. He's done over like 26 covers for National Geographic. He's a humanist, a philanthropist, and an idealist. So I'm really excited about getting to meet him and interviewing him and spending some time with his amazing work. So follow tamarahscloset.com for more live interviews and for the replays of all my past interviews. And to your own success in the world, keep on rocking it. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.